This one was sent in on Twitter using the hashtag CornyDriveThru from Alexander Supgall.
What?
Supgall.
What you do and you'll clean it up?
Supgul. You're not gonna give it a try?
I don't even know what to say.
If the AWA invasion of the NWA angle had proceeded as scheduled during the mid-'80s, how, if at all, do you believe it would have changed the professional wrestling landscape as we know it?
When was there going to be an AWA invasion of the NWA?
I don't know of any invasion in the mid-1980s. That's why I asked it. I thought maybe you knew something I didn't know.
There was, to my knowledge, there was never a planned AWA invasion of the NWA. Now, the AWA and NWA talent worked on some of the same cards in the Northeast at that point, in Baltimore and Philly for a short period of time, and the Meadowlands. Part of that was due to the Pro Wrestling USA thing when Vince started expanding. The other promoters tried to get together. Watts stayed out of it because he knew, I think, how it was going to fucking end and nobody was going to be able to get along. But the people that were really in it were Crockett and Gagne. And so, like on the Meadowlands, you had both the NWA and the AWA world titles being defended. Or the first Meadowlands show that we went to, I think, was Flair was there working with somebody. We defended the NWA World Tag title against the Rock and Roll. Stan Hansen was there with the AWA title. And in Baltimore, because Gary Juster's from Minneapolis, so he knew Vern, a bunch of people in Vern's office, and he had opened up Baltimore as kind of like a combination city. But over that year and a half or so, the NWA guys obviously at that time got over better because it was Flair and those guys, and they're going to get over better. And the Pro Wrestling USA thing fell apart and everybody wasn't working together as nicely as they had been. And basically Crockett just said, fuck it. Vern still had the Road Warriors until Crockett got them full time in late 85, early 86. After that, there was no fucking chance. It was it. Crockett's guys were going to, do the Northeast on their own.
Were there any talks when you were on the booking committee in later 1989, early 1990 about doing something with the AWA, who was obviously in its death spiral at that period of time, but still had some talent, and they had the relationship between Flair and Vern and various other people? Any talk at all?
No, not officially. There were a bunch of AWA guys calling to see if they could get a spot. But see, here's the thing. Flair had a relationship with Vern Gagne from 15 years earlier that Vern's camp is what broke him in. It wasn't like they were talking on the phone every day. The AWA at that point had, I apologize to everybody that was still there, but they had nothing really in 89 that anybody, the TV was rotten. Most of the talent was gone. I've told the story before that fucking lunatic. I would say Kevin Kelly, and people would think the announcer, but he worked as Kevin Kelly, Kevin Washoles, who was Nails at that point, right, for the WWF, and jacked Vince up against the wall. He was just a nut, but he actually, he looked good. He looked like Thor, the God of Thunder, long blonde hair, and he was like 6'5" or whatever. This was before Nails, he honestly had gotten by with looking like a pretty boy babyface. You remember. He had a good body. I don't know what happened to him in that short few years that he became Nails and he looked like a fucking, he'd been floating in the river for 3 days. But anyway, he contacted Flair, and Flair brought him in for and we didn't do these a lot back in those days, but he had a dark match at one of the TV tapings at Center Stage. And Flair said, told us that I'm going to bring this guy in. Let's take a look at him, see if anybody's got any ideas. And so he had a match. And then because I was doing commentary at the time on the TBS show, I interviewed him. And he did a match, and it was and he did an interview, and it was And so anyway, I think a couple weeks later, Flair comes in and says, let me tell you this story. Good Lord. Fucking Kevin Kelly had called him and said, Rick, when can I start? And Flair said, well, Kevin, we got a lot of guys right now. We got contracts. We just don't have any room right now. We'll keep it in mind. And his response to Flair was, well, fire somebody. I need a fucking job. And Flair couldn't wait to tell that story because if I've never heard fire somebody. I need a job. Who the fuck are you? We weren't that blown away to begin with, right? If we were going to fire somebody to bring somebody in, it wouldn't be you. Oh, fuck. There you go.
All right. Well,
the AWA invasion, it petered out.